Hello and welcome to Sports Fan Entertainment, here to discuss something that has been discussed fairly, I'll say regularly in the Tennessee Titans community, but I really wanted to hold off until I personally got to go through the tape and I was able to get combine measurements and all that inform my opinion on this. And that is whether or not the Titans should take a wide receiver, really with the number 7 overall pick, but let's just say overall also in the first round, or if they should prioritize left tackle. And we are specifically probably talking about Joe Alt. There are those out there that also like Tyus Fuaga, and if you do, hey, props to you. A lot of people are going to end up having him as their number 1 tackle. It wouldn't shock me, by the way, if Fuaga went above Alt, because I do think the separation there may not be as extreme as some people think it is, but Fuaga was primarily at right tackle in college, whereas Alt was primarily at left tackle in college. So that's the main differentiator there in terms of what you think that they would do. But, I mean, if you're getting a right tackle, I mean, you're not really going to complain about that, and maybe you could play left. I don't know. Depends what your plans there would be. So here's my official stance on this. And now I'm filling out my big board. And I'm going to release my big board this year. It's going to be 40 to 50 players. I don't go too deep with it because there's only so much tape I can watch on these players. But I will be releasing. It may not be released until a week before the draft. But it'll be out there. And it's starting to fill out. And here's my stance on this. Should they do it? Like, what would I do if I were them? Right? Let's answer that. I think we're in a position at wide receiver where I like the fact that we have DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley. It's going to be a fun duo, a good duo, and this year a very productive duo. However, Calvin Ridley's 29. And DeAndre Hopkins is, I think he's now 31, right? So this is going to be his 31-age season. And he only has 1 year left on his contract. And when I evaluated the top 3 wide receivers in Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, and Rome Odunze, I felt they were better prospects than Joe Alt. Now, I know. We have to protect Will Levis. We have a bigger hole at left tackle. God knows we need a tackle. I'm with you there. And if they take Joe Alt, I'm not going to complain. I'm going to give it an AA+. Probably, I like to give A+ when you do something I wasn't expecting. And something that's just like you did a steal, you did a trade up or a trade down, you got fantastic value. So I'll give it an A. And I'll give the wide receivers an A too. I only give A+ for like rare circumstances. So I'll give it an A for all of them. They're all great draft picks. But I just think that they're better prospects than Joe Alt. That's what I saw. Now, it's not a huge margin, but when my big board, and I'm still ranking them, when it officially comes out, you're going to see Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, and Rome Odunze all in the top 6. And you're going to see Alt around 9 or 10. So it's not a big difference, and you're still getting, to me, the best left tackle in the draft. To me, the best tackle in the draft, and it's the bigger need. But I have just a problem, though. Not a huge problem, but like I just would hate, because I really think these 3 guys, uno, dos, tres, as long as they don't have any behavioral problems, then I don't know these guys, right? Usually with wide receivers, and we know this, we had to deal with this with A.J. Brown, and A.J. Brown is doing this even more in Philadelphia. We saw this with Stephon Diggs. We saw this with Tyreek Hill. They can have some diva problems. So I don't know about these wide receivers and their problems. So if that's a big factor and they trust Joe Alt, because, I mean, when was the last time you ever heard an offensive tackle complain, right, and be a diva or a problem? I haven't seen it, right? And then that tackle, I will also grant you this. I mean, they normally stay with your team longer. We're seeing, like I said, A.J. Brown, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs. These guys are changing teams. Yes, they've been top 5 wide receivers. A.J. Brown this year, top 5, finally becoming one. Tyreek Hill has been one. Stephon Diggs has been one. But they're having problems staying with their team. So if your argument also is, well, Joe Alt's more likely to stay with us for a decade than those wide receivers. Because those wide receivers, who knows, 4 or 5 years down the road, they start complaining, they want their money. Oh, I'm with you. I just think you're looking at Pro Bowl level talents almost definitively with all three of them. And when I saw during the season, so I watched a fair amount of Marvin Harrison Jr., he was great. What I saw from Neighbors, I didn't even really catch on to Neighbors until like November. Saw great things from him, and what he's done athletically has been incredible. He looks like he's going to be incredible. And Romo Dunze, it was through the season where I was just like, wait, why are we not talking about this guy as a top 5 potential prospect? There were some questions about his athletic upside, and then he showed, during, this offseason that, okay, maybe there shouldn't be as many questions. But consistently, he and Michael Penix, and Penix is going to go later than he should too. Now, part of that's due to injuries and whatnot. Consistently, these guys just made plays. Consistently. And then when it was questioned about, well, is it like a Pac-12 thing or is it just weak defenses? First of all, it was so prolific anyway, I didn't care. And then when they faced other teams, they still did well. Now, maybe not as well, but they still did well. And they just checked so many boxes for me, all three wide receivers. And I think you're looking at, because, again, I don't think Calvin Ridley is really a number one like that. I think he's a 1B. That's what I believe. I don't think he's a 1,400-yard wide receiver like that for the rest of his career. I just don't believe that. I don't. I think he can get you 1,000, 1,100 for us. Yeah, he could do that, and we'd be fine with that for the next 2-3 years. Absolutely. These guys could be that 1,500-yard wide receivers at the next level. And it's not me just being excited by the highlight reels and all of that. Although it's easy to get excited versus left tackle, I really think you're looking at 3 elite wide receiver talents, and I am including Odunze in that. Him able to consistently come down with these contested catches again and again and again and again. I mean, I was just blown away when I just sat down and watched him. And then he's solid. If you draft him, he is solid. Now, you're going to have a problem at left tackle if you do this. And you're going to have to go out and you're going to have to get a free agent tackle. You're going to have to draft a tackle in the second round, period, if you do this. And then you're going to have to go get a left tackle in free agency too. Okay? And maybe a right tackle too, maybe. I don't think you have to go that far, but you have to at least go out. There are some veterans out there. They're not great. Okay, I'm not sitting here and saying that, I believe in David Bakhtiari, who's been injured the last number of seasons. I'm not sitting here saying, I think maybe Donovan Smith might be out there. And there are some other names that I don't love it. And yeah, you're punting on left tackle. And you're saying, next year we'll go get our real left tackle. I think Will Levis would survive a year. And I think, hey, you would get one of these elite wide receivers. Callahan and both Callahans would scheme for it. And then okay, wide receiver, the future's locked down. You can get your left tackle next year. And I know we said this now for the last 2 years, but I was just fascinated by these guys. So that's what I would do. But again, I'm not going to complain if they take Joe Alt or Talise Fuaga. I'm not. I get it. We're prioritizing protection. I understand it. But when DeAndre Hopkins likely leaves next year, guess what's another need for us? Depending if who we get in the second round and if he actually performs this year. It's wide receiver again. So either way, one of them's going to be a problem next year again. Okay? We just have more wide receivers than we have tackles, right? And I'm with you there. I just think that they're better prospects. So really the first question is, do you think that they're better prospects? Like, do you agree in that? I do. And what would you do? Because again, and I know we have to protect Will Levis, and I want to protect Will Levis. I'm not saying that's not a priority. I'm just saying I think he could survive another year. I think he'd survive. Okay, I think he'd survive. But you'd have to get one next year, right? You would have to absolutely. But man, these 3 wide receivers are special, and I don't want to sleep. People keep sleeping on Odunze. And again, I don't know their personalities. If you feel like, man, Marvin Harrison Jr. seems fine. And then Neighbors, I don't know much about him. Odunze seems fine to me too. Neighbors, I don't know much about his personality. He seemed fine. I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up being a diva 5 years. I wouldn't be shocked. I don't know. I just don't know him. So you have to make those character evaluations and figure that out. But these wide receivers are special. I mean, I think that they're special. And, you know, I've not seen in a while 3 wide receivers actually be this high on my draft board or other draft boards, and all of them worked out. Okay? Usually, one of them ends up as a disappointment. So I can think back to 2014. We had Sammy Watkins, we had Mike Evans, we had Odell, we had someone else. Let me pull up that draft real quick. And they were all ranked pretty highly on everyone's boards. And everyone thought that Sammy Watkins was by far the safest one, you know, was going to be the best pro. He was the worst, okay? Of those top wide receivers that went, he was the worst. So, I mean, you never really know. And that was, like, to me, a work ethic thing. He went to Buffalo. Their passing game wasn't ready yet. Their quarterback play was awful. And his work, I think his work ethic did drop off, though. And I think there were characters when it came to Sammy Watkins. And still is. And he can't stay healthy. So, and I think maybe he's retired now. If he's not, he should. So you never know. I'm just saying that I had them on my big board. And if you follow the whole best player available thing, you know, of a position of need, I'm not saying, okay, best player available for me might be Drake May. Go get Drake May. I don't think we're having that conversation. But I like these wide receivers. I like these wide receivers, and I think they're probably going to go alt. That's what I think. But, man, these wide receivers got me very, very, very interested, and I get what the safer thing is. I get what it is. But if you haven't sat down and really watched these guys yet, I really recommend that you do so. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on whether or not the Titans should take a wide receiver in the first round of the 2024 NFL Draft. What are your thoughts? Comment down below. I want to know. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, to subscribe. Until next time, I'm out. See you all later.